I still think altcoins are expensive, and the averages are just not where I want to see them. Could we have a bounce? Yeah, but this thing is going to have to bounce really hard. Cryptoslo with more crypto gains. What's going on, guys? So today I want to talk about getting back to the basics, and that is using basic averages to predict probability in the market. So communities are very split at the moment of whether or not this bull run is over and we're going to head into a crypto ice age, or it's bull-tastic and we're getting ready to go super parabolic. Now, what I can say is, looking at stock to flow, 99 million technical TA, this, that, everything in between. But one thing remains unchanged, and that is that price action respects the averages. And you want to take that into consideration when you're looking at these charts. So let's dig into it. So looking at Bitcoin all the way back to 2013-14, as you can see, we have the 50 staying above the 200. Now, a death cross, that's something important to cover, is when the 50 crosses the 200, and it can basically show, because the 50 is going to move faster than the 200, the averages are going to change faster. So the 50 is leading the 200. So the 200 will follow, but the 50 is leading, the 200 is laggard. So as you can see, when the 50 rises above the 200, intrinsically, it pulls the 200 up, considering. Now, the space that you have between the 50 and the 200 is your energy, is your positive divergence, okay, bullish divergence. And as you can see, it pulled this up, it mooned, the 50 changes direction. Now, even if you were trading this, you could still see an obvious turn in this and had plenty of time to get out. Now, you didn't sell the top, but you definitely could have still locked in really good profits. Then we have the death cross. Now, the important thing with the death cross is you take price action into consideration. So price action is going to actually even be on a shorter term time frame than the 50. So the price action is negative, okay, it's going to pull that 200 down, and then you had a retest and it pulled it, and then you see the bearish divergence on the 50 and the 200, and then we bottomed out. And typically when you bottom out, you see these 250 and 200 kind of merge together, and then it sets up the next cycle, okay? And then this takes us into 15, 16. Again, as you can see, respect the averages. The 50 is above the 200, so it is game on. And you could put in some stops, you had some drops, but ultimately it was still very positive. Okay, so now let's go. We're taking this up. Bitcoin's going up. It's going up. It's gonna boom. It's going to $1 bazillion. All right, so then we had this nice blow off top, and then you can see the 50 once again. It's getting too far above the 200, and it's running out of steam to pull this up, and you can see it turn around. Once again, you had plenty of time, well, not a ton of time, but you had time to lock in your profits, okay? And you can see this is like a hairpin curve, okay? So, subtle changes like these curves, like they're less of a deep. This is like a complete 180. Okay, and for that to happen, you have to have quite a bit of negative price pressure. Then once again, we get a death cross on downward price action, signaling that we are going lower. Okay, then you had a positive death cross with positive price action, Nice roundabout. And now what you could say is you could wait for the crossover, but keep in mind as time goes, these lines, the historical lines, shift. So that's what can be hard to read with these. That's why you have to look at the leading indicator. Now what you could do is you could add, even shorter time frames to see if it's, oops, I didn't mean to add 5 of them. So let's set this one to 34. Okay. And then we'll set this one to 13. Now, these indicators kind of get weaker in the sense that there's not as much velocity behind it at that point. But, so let's stretch this out a little bit. Okay. So once again, you can see that positive death cross, and then we start to go up again on positive price action. We start to go up again. Okay, let me clean this up here. I'm going to keep this as simple as possible. That's kind of the concept of this video. Then you see a nice crossover, but then as you can see, as we trade sideways, you have this bullish divergence between the 50 and the 200. Once again, pulling it up and up and up. Then once again we had this beautiful neck. Now you could have said, now I actually sold some Bitcoin at 65. I got lucky. I was just taking profits responsibly, and I decided, hey, this isn't looking good. I'm gonna sell some, reduce my liabilities. Then we had this big turnaround, this hairpin turnaround, okay, and then boom. And now this one, this kind of gets hard to play, but what you had to look at in this essence was that the 200 was still in an upward trajectory. Okay, so once again we got a double pump and we had this double top. Then we had another death cross on negative price action. The 200's pointing down, the 50's pointing down, and we have bearish divergence between these 2 points. So what am I trying to get across to you in this video today? I'm not saying that we're in a crypto ice age, but what I am saying is respect the averages. This is very negative, okay? This is very negative. This is a lot of bearish divergence. We've made no signal of this turning around. And as you can see, the price is pulling these lines down. I personally, I'm not trying to call the bottom. Once again, you can wait for the averages to start to turn. Okay, we could see this turn and then start to pull that 200 back up. But we want to see this turn. Let's add that 34. Well, let's do a 13. Yeah, it's just still negative. It's still negative. So I'm not trying to call the bottom, okay? And we know that TA from the standpoint of assessing Bitcoin based on models is broken right now. It's basically broken all the models. But I still think altcoins are expensive, and the averages are just not where I want to see them. Could we have a bounce? Yeah, but this thing is going to have to bounce really hard to turn this around, because we have a lot of negative energy as all of this unwinds. Okay, and then a double top even makes it worse. It's more energy. So this peak traps energy, this peak traps energy, and now the energy is unwinding. Couple that with negative macros in the economy, and I talked about this: credit card defaults, CFI defaults, and the housing market getting ready to collapse with them increasing interest rates, gas prices. Now, we know that Bitcoin is tied to the economy, right? But people aren't buying stuff with sats in present day. So, you still have to keep in mind that when the economy is bad, it is going to have downward pressure into and onto these assets, which are considered more risky. So, I am still holding my dry powder. I'm not trying to buy the bottom, but I'm also not trying to spend all my cash at once. And like I said, this is the setup for island money. Going into this, you want island money. You want to tell your friends when to buy. You got to wait for these averages to shape up. The MACD still looks like trash. I mean, it just doesn't look good in my opinion. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Stay safe out there. This is Cryptoslo. If you're not talking gains, then we're not talking.